Journo hacks who cover the video game industry are demanding that you pay attention to politics within this space. They are demanding that you stand up for your hobby, you try to force the fascists out of games, and that you make your voice be heard when really they just look pathetic. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, yes, a lot of video game discussions have been political over the past couple of years, but it's because activists like this have forced their way into this space. If they hadn't, years and years and years ago, we wouldn't be in this situation. People would be able to go to work, make games, regardless of what their political opinions are. People would buy them, and everything would be amazing. But that isn't the case anymore because they constantly need their opinions heard. But now that it's not lunatic lefties controlling this industry, they are freaking out about it, and they're saying you need to be mad about Elon Musk, about the Saudis, about Trump, about everything that is happening right now because they're losing their grip on this industry and they're mad about it. So The Guardian had written State of Play, who holds the power in the video games industry in 2025? Not you, that's for sure, and you can't deal with that. This year has brought us many brilliant video games, but as wealth continues to concentrate and games are used to exert economic and political influence, we need to keep an eye on the top players. And yes, culture does control the world. At least in my opinion, culture is an extremely important part of our lives, and I don't think that video games should be political, but you guys are the ones who made it political in the first place. You guys are the ones who used it as a tool to try to push propaganda. If you hadn't done that in Gamergate 1, and really before Gamergate 1, activists were trying it, we wouldn't be in this space. So it says, I love playing video games. Oh yeah, sure you do. But what interests me most as a journalist are the ways in which video games intersect with real life. One of the joys of spending 20 years on this beat has been meeting hundreds of people whose lives have been meaningfully enhanced by games, and as their cultural influence has grown, these stories have become more and more plentiful. There's another side to this, however. A couple of decades ago, video games were mostly either ignored or vilified by governments and mainstream culture, leading to an underdog mentality that has persisted even as games have become a nearly $200 billion industry. As their popularity has grown, so have their political and cultural relevance, and the ways in which games intersect with real life are now colored by the economic and political realities of our times. Now, they do start off with talking about blockbusters and how there are games like Silksong and Expedition 33 that had very small budgets but made back larger profits. They talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, but then they get into AI, they get into unions, and really, you can tell if you scroll down what this is all about, and it is Trump and the administration, and also people like Elon Musk, and you just can see how upset they really are over the fact that lefties do not have a lot of control in this industry anymore. And it's so funny to me that they go and they talk about the gaming industry and the history, but of course they're not going to bring up things that liberals have done over the years that would have severely damaged this industry, like the Family Entertainment Protection Act. I know it's been a long time since we've talked about this, but it is extremely important when you're talking about politics in the video game space. It was a failed bill introduced by Hillary Clinton, co-sponsored by Joe Lieberman, Tim Johnson, and Evan Baugh. It was a bill that called for a federal mandate enforcement of the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, or ESRB, rating system for video games in order to protect children from inappropriate content. It would have imposed fines of $1,000 or 100 hours of community service for a first-time offense of selling a mature or adult-only rated video game to a minor, or $5,000 or 500 hours for each subsequent offense. There have been several failed bills like this over the years, but they're all from liberals. Do they ever talk about this and how really the political grab at video games has been, yes, going back and forth for decades, but there are way more liberals that have tried to enact change in this space than conservatives. Sure, the ESRB did primarily start with a lot of conservatives because there was satanic panic, and then it led into, oh, well, games with gory content and really violent content could lead to video games causing violence in the real world with titles like Night Trap and Mortal Kombat, but they never mention people like Hillary Clinton trying to enact change. Why? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. Video games have always been a hot topic with politicians. There have always been a lot of them who have tried to control the space, because if you control culture, you control the world. But while the lunatic lefties did grasp onto this industry, they are now losing their grasp on it. You can tell really easily that the reason why they wanted to write this article was because of the ICE memes and also Elon Musk. They say what we see here is money and power concentrating in the video game world in the same way as in the wider world. And games have immense power to influence people's thoughts and attitudes. Yeah, that's why you cultural Marxists have tried to weasel your way into this industry. And at every single turn, you have failed to actually push propaganda in a successful way that people are not calling out. And games have immense power to influence people's thoughts and attitudes. The most powerful people in the world have started to realize this. Even Elon Musk sees the value of appropriating game credibility. He was discovered to be a fake gamer in January after boasting about his PoE2 character online. Why else would the Trump admin be tweeting AI-generated images of the president as Halo's Master Chief, or using Pokemon and Halo memes to recruit for ICE? Why else would right-wing agitators continue to feed culture war spats over a black samurai in Assassin's Creed or a non-binary actor in a PlayStation game? Now, I say this all the time. I am a libertarian, but I definitely do lean more right-wing, obviously. I could not side with these people in this article at all whatsoever because they sound insane. Why is it that quote-unquote left-wing agitators end up creating entire companies like Sweet Baby Inc. to try and push propaganda? Why is it that quote-unquote left-wing agitators weasel their way in and then they demand that companies make change and threaten them and try to blackmail them if they do not alter their games in a way that is deemed more inclusive? Yeah, two can play that game and you are going to lose every single time. Just because we talk about what is happening in this industry does not mean we are agitators at all whatsoever. And yes, I do think that putting Yasuke in Assassin's Creed was a pretty big situation, and it was much larger than him just being a black guy. You are trying to dumb this argument down because you want a normie to click on this article and not rip it apart, but of course, I exist. And they say a non-binary actor in a PlayStation game. You mean a person like Erika Ishii, who was self-proclaimed Antifa? That's a little bit more than them just being a non-binary actor, that's for sure. They also talk about how they don't pretend to be neutral on any of these things. Oh yeah, we can tell, buddy. Earlier this year, after I wrote about the Saudi acquisition of EA, I got an email from a reader asking if some of this stuff is more editorial opinion rather than fact and news. The answer to that is it's both. I will never report on anything here that isn't true, but I also won't shy away from delivering my informed opinion on the things that are in the gaming world. Yeah, but you are completely uninformed. Unsurprisingly for a Guardian journalist, my values are inclusive, left-leaning, and somewhat skeptical of corporate power. And of course that informs what I write in Pushing Buttons. I think that those values are vital context in these times. Of course, you're saying your values are vital because if somebody doesn't respect your values, you don't have a job anymore. It is insane that they constantly will sit here and write articles like this while not giving the whole context, while not painting the whole picture, because they hope people are stupid enough to click on this article, believe the lies that they are spouting, and not ask questions, but Gamers are sick and tired of activists like you pushing your way into this video game industry. And I say this all the time. If tomorrow video games were suddenly all 10 out of 10s and people like this were not pushing, bullshit in this space, I would be more than happy to just play video games and rate them and review them and talk about them. And I do that. I live stream 25 to 30 hours a week of video games and what I'm excited for and titles that I have a lot of love and nostalgia for. But these people don't play video games. They don't talk positively about the video game industry ever. And yet they sit here and make everything political, even though they're claiming, oh, video games shouldn't be political, but they are the ones who are pushing this time and again. So I'm not shocked to see a stupid article like this pop up right at the beginning of the year, but luckily a lot of people like this are not taken seriously in this space anymore, and you love to see their meltdowns. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.